You've been there, the gut-wrenching pain of heartbreak, the feeling that the ground has shifted beneath your feet and you're free-falling into an abyss. She's gone, and you're left picking up the pieces of a life that no longer makes sense. This is the moment that defines you. Will you crumble, or will you rise? Heartbreak is not just an emotion, it's a storm that rips through your soul. The nights are the worst. You stare at the ceiling, replaying every conversation. The weight in your chest feels unbearable, like a hollow space carved out where your heart used to be. The mind becomes a prison, trapping you in memories of what was and what will never be again. At first you search for answers, wondering if you could have done something differently. But the truth is, no amount of overthinking will change the past. She made her choice, and now you have to make yours. This is where most men fail. They spiral, they beg, they let the pain consume them, but not you. This is the moment where you decide that pain is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Emotions are like waves. They crash into you, pull you under, and make you feel like you're drowning. Heartbreak magnifies those waves, turning them into a storm. But here's the difference between a weak man and a strong one. The weak man gets swallowed by the tide. The strong man learns to stand still and let the storm pass. He does not fight the water, he becomes the mountain that no wave can move. Right now she expects a reaction. She expects anger, desperation, or sorrow. But when you refuse to react, when you remain calm in the face of her absence, something unexpected happens. She begins to question. A man who cannot be emotionally controlled is a man who cannot be easily forgotten. This is where most men fail. They think power is in confrontation, in proving a point, in showing her that she made a mistake. But power is in restraint. Nothing unsettles a person more than realizing they no longer have control over someone they once influenced. She expected you to react. She expected to see pain, longing, and desperation, but instead nothing, silence, indifference. And that is what starts to eat at her. Indifference is not hate, it is not anger. It is simply the absence of attachment. It is the realization that you do not need her presence or her absence to dictate your emotions. And when a woman senses that she no longer has a hold over your mind, she begins to question everything. Was she wrong? Was she not as important to you as she thought? How did you move on so easily? While she's busy looking back, you are moving forward. She doesn't see the late nights, the early mornings, the quiet sacrifices you make to rebuild yourself. She doesn't hear the silence in your mind as you cut out the noise, the distractions, the emotional chaos that once controlled you. She doesn't know that the man she left behind no longer exists, and that is what will haunt her the most. Most men let heartbreak define them. They stay trapped in the past, replaying memories, seeking answers, waiting for closure that will never come. But a man of wisdom understands that pain is not a prison, it is a tool. You take that pain and you sharpen yourself with it. You hit the gym, you level up financially. You pursue your goals with a focus so intense that the old version of you would not even recognize the man you're becoming. And here's the irony. When a man improves in silence, people start to notice. The moment you detach is the moment you gain everything. Most men live in emotional chains, held hostage by the past, by memories, by what-ifs. But a man who has mastered detachment is a man who cannot be controlled. And this is the shift that she never saw coming. She expected you to hold on, to linger in the shadows of the past, to wait for the moment when she might reconsider. But when you let go completely, when you detach, not just from her but from the need for her, something changes. You are no longer reacting. You are no longer waiting. You are simply moving forward, free from the weight of her decisions. And that freedom is what makes her feel your absence in ways she never expected. The moment you stopped chasing, the moment you became indifferent, something inside her shifted. She won't admit it, but she feels it. The dynamic she once controlled has flipped. She expected to move on effortlessly, to forget you, to leave you in the past without a second thought. But now, instead of certainty, she feels something unexpected, curiosity, doubt, and an undeniable pull toward you. It starts subtly, a random, like on an old post, a message that doesn't say much but says everything. Hey, how have you been? A mutual friend casually mentioning that she was asking about you. These are not coincidences, they are tests. She's trying to gauge whether you still care, whether she still holds power over you, but the new version of you, the man forged in silence and discipline, does not react. You are no longer the man who waits for breadcrumbs of attention. Even if she regrets everything, even if she replays the past in her mind over and over again, she will never say it. Not directly, not in the way you might expect. Her pride won't allow it. Her ego won't let her admit that she miscalculated, that she walked away from something she should have held on to. Instead, she will drop subtle hints, test the waters, and try to create opportunities for you to reopen the door. She'll act as if she's just checking in, as if it's no big deal. She might ask mutual friends about you, engage with your social media, or find an excuse to cross paths again. But she will never sit down, look you in the eyes and say, "I made a mistake," because that would mean surrendering control, admitting weakness, and giving you the final word. And that is something she cannot do, so she suffers in silence. This is the moment that defines everything. She has resurfaced, subtly or directly. Maybe she sends a harmless message. Maybe she lingers a little too long in a conversation. Maybe she just starts appearing in places where she knows you'll be. She's testing the waters, searching for signs that she still holds some kind of power over you. And this is where most men fail. They see her reaching out and mistake it for a second chance. They think, she finally sees my value. But what they don't realize is that this is not about love, it's about control. She isn't necessarily looking to rebuild what was lost. And now the irony sets in. The tables have turned, but you don't even care anymore. The closure you once thought you needed, it was never real. Because the real closure wasn't in words, but in your transformation. You didn't just move on, you elevated. You didn't just survive, you thrived. And now the version of you that stands here today is untouchable. She feels it, she sees it, and she knows it. The man she left behind no longer exists. The power dynamic that once belonged to her has crumbled, and now she is the one left wondering. Silence. It's not about ignoring her, it's about rediscovering yourself. It's about choosing growth over despair, strength over weakness, and ultimately, freedom over dependence. This is how you win the breakup, not by chasing her, but by becoming the man she could never truly leave behind. If this video resonated with you, if you're ready to step into your power and reclaim your focus, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another lesson. And before you go, drop a comment below. I am in control of my destiny.